Praise the Lord. This is a course on how to write proposals. This is the introduction to writing proposals. I want to start with a Bible verse. This Bible verse, from the words of Jesus, he said, "Everything that is hidden will be shown, and everything that is secret will be made known. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the light. Which you have whispered in an inner room will be shouted from the housetops." Luke chapter 12. There's going to be five parts of this course. This first part is just the introduction to writing a proposal. Then there will be another video lesson on how to write a narrative proposal. And then writing a budget proposal. That will be on a spreadsheet. And then writing the narrative report. That's the follow-up from number 2. So after you complete the event, you will write the report on it, and you will also complete the budget report. But in this video, we're just going to cover the introduction. First, we want to learn what we mean by the word proposal. A proposal can be a plan or a suggestion, especially a formal or written one that's put forward for consideration by others. In other words, you propose something. It's a suggestion or a plan that you're putting forward. Another way that we often talk of proposals is an offer of marriage. That's another sense of the meaning. So we have you can have a marriage proposal. That would be an offer of marriage. You propose to a fiancé to make a suggestion that we get married. But there's also, more often, what we're going to talk about is business proposals or project proposals. Proposals are used all over the business world. And every organization has its own system. Every organization, every business organization, every NGO, they have their own system. There's not one standard form of a proposal, but there's many similarities. So I suggest that you use a template. And for that template, a template means a pattern. Use a previous proposal and use that as a way of updating it to put in your new information. Need you to learn the system of that organization. And in this video, we'll be talking about the proposal system for Partners in Bible Translation, PIBT. So this video is not going to teach you how to write proposals for other organizations. Next question is, when would you need to write a proposal? When is a proposal needed? Usually the proposal is needed when there's a significant financial amount that's being requested for a project. Or an event. Each organization will have a different level of detail that is needed. I'd like to talk a moment about cultural differences. I was in a situation in which I asked some leaders of a Bible translation project to formulate a proposal or a budget for an event, and nothing was done. They did not formulate any budget, nothing was done. And I was told later by another Zambian that when they receive the money in their bank account, at that point, they will sit down and formulate a budget. In other words, I was told that the money had to be transferred first into their bank account, and then after that, they would form a budget. Let me tell you that this is not the way business is done in many parts of the world, in most parts of the world. Most, I would say, most of the developed world, first you write a proposal. I have here the word report, but it can also be better to say proposal. A proposal is written explaining the need. This is the narrative. We call this the narrative proposal. And then a budget will also be part of that, or it could be separate. It could be the budget proposal. And after the funders look at the narrative proposal and the budget proposal, after that, they will make a transfer. So just to be clear, the budget and the narrative proposal need to be done first, and then after it is approved and the board looks at it, then a transfer will be made, or part of the transfer will be made. So within PIBT, we will have two proposals for each event. There will be the narrative proposal and the budget proposal, and these are usually separated. The narrative proposal will be done often in an open office or a Word document, and the budget proposal should be in a spreadsheet. Let's talk a little bit about the time required. It's important that you plan ahead of time, and I will explain why. It's going to take you some time to write the proposal, and that should take no more than half a day. For some events, you might be able to write a proposal in 30 minutes or 1 hour or half a day. If you're spending more than half a day to write a proposal, there's probably something wrong. Maybe you haven't thought enough about the event, or you haven't followed the training that's been given in this video. There will be a learning curve. What do we mean when we talk about a learning curve? Is that it's going to take you, this is a learning curve diagram. It's going to take you some time to gain the knowledge. This is the knowledge is increasing. It's going to take you maybe from the beginning here until here. If I could draw a line on this diagram right about here, it's going to take a significant amount of time for you to learn how to do a proposal. But it's not difficult. Don't be discouraged. There's going to be 4 or 5 videos to learn to write a proposal, but some of these videos are very short. And if you pay attention, you just need to watch them one time. So but there is going to be a learning curve. You might think, wow, We have to do a whole lot of things just to write this proposal. Don't be discouraged. There is a learning curve, but after a while, you will have all that knowledge and you'll be able to write a proposal in an hour, 2 hours, certainly less than half a day. You should not be taking more than half a day to write a proposal unless it's for a large event that would be beyond what's normally done. But for what we do, the proposals can often be done in 1 hour or half a day. Now, after you write the proposal, you should check it carefully. Any work you do, you should check it by yourself before sending anything. If you have misspellings, sentences are not well formed, that would give the image that you are not a careful, respectful person, and that would maybe make the proposal more likely to be declined. Because if you can't write a report well and check your spellings, for example, then how are people supposed to think that this person can do the work which is described within the proposal? So check your proposal carefully, and then it has to be sent to the person who you expect to approve it. And they have to also review that proposal. And then they may have changes. They're going to be making some changes. They may get back to you and say, you need to make some changes to this proposal. That takes time. And then after changes are made, then we need to send it to the board for approval. Often that's the PIBT USA board. They have to approve proposals. So all of this can take 2 to 3 weeks. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for you to, from start to finish, to the time that you want to write the proposal. You can do it in less. Sometimes a proposal can be done in just 30 minutes. And if you do a good job, you don't have any problems with your review, you've done everything good in the proposal, then the review can be done in 5 minutes. There's no changes to be made, and then approval can be given very quickly if it's a low amount, or if the board needs to approve it, then recommendations can be made that it would be done quickly. I heard a story that I would like to relate to you. I heard the story recently. It was about a worker, and he came to his boss, and the boss was the person who could approve his leave, his absence from the workplace. And the worker did something. I want you to think about what he did. He packed all his bags. He was going to travel some distance away. It would be a day to travel where he was going. He packed all his bags. He took his family, his wife and his children, and he hired a taxi. And he showed up at the boss's door, at the boss's home, and he said, "I'd like you to approve my trip." Now there he was with his bags packed, his wife dressed for traveling, his children already. Children had been taken out of school, and he hired a taxi, and then he asked the boss, "Would you approve this trip?" Now, do you think that was respectful? Do you think that was kind, or do you think that was the right thing to do? I think the person who did that was not respectful. They were not respecting other people, and they were trying to manipulate the situation. Because if the boss would now say, "No, we can't have you go this week, can you plan this trip the next week?" it would have created a lot of problems for that worker. He had his bags already packed, his children had been taken out of school, the taxi had been hired, and therefore this worker was was trying to what we call manipulate the situation, was trying to coerce the situation, manipulate and control the situation so that the boss could not say no. In other words, what I'm trying to say as I teach this, tell you this story is, do not try to manipulate people and say, we need to do this quick, we need to do this now, the bus is going or this is going. You need to plan 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Now, there may be some times where your director or your boss might say, look, this opportunity has come up. Can you write a proposal this morning and by tomorrow we go? So there are exceptions like that, but generally, if you're writing a proposal, please show respect for people. People have other jobs, they have other tasks to do, and when you write that proposal, give them time to look at it, give them time to review it carefully, get back to you with changes, and also it's going to take time for you to incorporate their changes, and then for them, once you have the final copy done, that they're going to have to seek approval. So please don't try to manipulate the situation. Please respect those people involved. By the way, what happened in that situation, it was a true story. What happened in that situation was the boss was not at home. So family members of the boss could not give that worker permission. So it backfired on that worker, and he was not given permission to go because the boss was not at home. And so don't try to manipulate people by using things like that. And I hope I also don't want to try to manipulate things like that. So what we're talking about is having the right professional attitude and showing professionalism. This man is obviously ready for the meeting. He has everything he needs. I'm sure there's a pen in his pocket, and he's ready for the meeting. It looks like he's been prepared. So we want to have a high level of professionalism in all that we do, that it might bring glory to God. One of the important things about professionalism is communication, that we communicate well. And I'll give you an example. I want to, again, speak using the camera. I'll give you an example of a situation in which I trained somebody in a project to keep an expense record. And it was a very simple expense record. All they had to do was list down on the paper the date, the meals that were eaten by the people on that date, and whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And showed them very carefully, gave them paper, make sure they had pen, and just said, each day, just please list the date, the names of the people that eat food, and whether they have breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And communication was clear, everything was clear. I made sure that they understood, and I left them in charge. A week later, I came back, and I found that I asked the person, I said, can you show me the list of where you kept the list of the meals? And the person said, the situation changed. And I said, what do you mean the situation changed? They said, after you left, we decided all cook together, and we're not eating at the dining hall anymore. Well, I had known that. I knew that the situation was going to change. But the person who I had asked to record everything, in his mind, he was thinking, oh, Mr. Saka doesn't know that the situation has changed, and he didn't communicate to me. If he had sent me a text message and said, we're cooking together now, should I still keep a record of that budget? I would have said, yes, certainly. I know that the situation is going to change. I know that we're not going to eat at the dining hall anymore. I know that after I leave, you're going to cook together. But that doesn't change what I told you to write on the paper. So there's two things this person did wrong. I hope you can see them, there's two things. One is they abandoned the system that I gave. I told them to do something, and it wasn't difficult, but they abandoned what I said. And secondly, they didn't communicate. So this is an example of why we need to have good communication. If you are going to write a proposal, that proposal means that you're going to follow what is written in the proposal. Yes, adjustments can be made, things can be changed, but it's important that you communicate with those involved before the changes are made. And by the way, in the story that I told, it caused a lot of confusion. Because the person didn't record the meals, it delayed the final report, and people were upset that the final report was not done. And it's all because of somebody didn't communicate what they thought they should do. They let it go for a whole week and didn't tell anybody until they were asked. There's many other things we could say about professionalism. And we covered some of this in other video lessons that you should have already taken about emails. For example, an office etiquette that you respond to request immediately. Usually an email is done the same day or the next day, and if you can't get to it the same day or the next day, you would send another email saying, I've received your email, but I'm not able to get to it right now because of such and such reason. I will be able to respond on such and such date. Another thing I want to talk about is accountability and professionalism. I want to share with you another story that happened. We were working in partnership with another organization, and we asked them to formulate a budget for an event. And we asked them, and the event was going to be held in May, the month of May. We asked them in February to make the budget. 2 months went by, and we had reminded them, we asked them 2 or 3 times, where's the budget? There was no budget. So then we decided, well, we can't wait any longer. We need to track down some of this information for them. So we called up a place of business. It was a lodge. We asked them, how much do the rooms stay there, or how much does it cost to stay at the rooms? And when this other organization found out that we had looked into one of the lodges, they said, oh, you don't trust us. You don't trust us. You're checking on the prices. Well, yes, we were checking on the prices because we waited for 2 months for you to do your job, and you didn't do your job. So you need to be accountable. You need to, it's not bad when when you supply a estimate, a quotation, that somebody else will go and check the same place of business for the same price. In fact, I worked for a corporation, and in a corporation, at a minimum, you will get 3 quotations. And those quotations will be verified by more than one person. Usually you get 3 to 5 quotations. You don't want to get 10. I mean, not normally, unless it's a huge expense. But you don't waste all your time getting quotations. But normally, when we have a professional attitude, or when we do things in a professional manner, we want to we want to show accountability that this proposal has been backed up, it's been checked, and it's been verified. It's not a matter of we don't trust you. I don't trust myself because I can make mistakes. It's good when somebody else checks my work and helps me. So if you provide a quotation for something and somebody else comes out after later and they check that quotation, it's a help to you. It's not a matter of not trusting that person. The reason being is sometimes I can get a different price for things than maybe you could get a different price, or the price may have changed. Sometimes you can get a different price than I can get a different price. But let's not accuse one another of not trusting each other. That is not a professional attitude. So I said we normally get at least 3 quotations, sometimes 5, and these quotations should be unrelated. I remember I was checking prices of getting something done in Chipata, the town where I lived, and one person gave a quotation. I said, well, I'll have to, actually I asked the person, can you get me 3 quotations? Well, he got 1 quotation from a place of business. Then he used another receipt book from another organization, which was just next door, and they gave a quotation, and the second place would have just hired the first place, but they changed their quotation a little bit to make it seem like there were 3 quotations, but they were quotations really all from the same business. So they should be quotations that are unrelated. So here's a quick diagram. We have business A, business B, and business C. And these businesses are not related to one another. I've used that by drawing this little line between them. You get 3 quotations from 3 different businesses. You do not go to one business and business A is a front organization for the other 2 businesses. So business A is the owners of business B, and they're also the owners of business C. And to make it easy, you just got 3 quotations from the same business, but they're all related. That's not an effective way of doing a quotation. You get quotations from 3 different businesses that are unrelated. I can say it this way, that competition is a wonderful thing. And if we have cell phone companies in Zambia, I think we have 3 or 4 cell phone companies in Zambia, maybe more. But if we had 5 or 6 or 7 cell phone companies, you would find that the price of buying talk time would even be lower. So we want to, the more businesses there are competing for for you as a client, the lower the prices go. Doesn't mean that we always choose the lowest price. The lowest price may not be the best quality. One other thing I want to say about getting quotations, somebody giving a quotation or you receiving a quotation does not mean that it's a promise to hire that person. Okay. If you can tell the people that I'm going to several people for quotations, what is your quotation? And if they're not chosen, tell them, well, we haven't chosen you this time, but we're going to choose you. We may be choosing you in the future. And if they do not react kindly to that, that shows how unprofessional they are. And maybe it's a good thing that you didn't hire that person or you didn't buy from them, because anybody who doesn't appreciate you choosing another business and reacts negatively shows that that person is not a professional acting person. So when you receive quotations, don't let people think that you are promising to hire or to buy from them. The last point I want to talk about in this video and regarding professionalism is honesty. I was working in Lusaka, or living in Lusaka, and I hired a young man to do a job. It was a plumbing job, and I was very impressed with his work. He was doing good work, and I thought, well, I found somebody to do a good job here, and I'm going to use him a lot in the future. One day I needed to send him to town to buy something, so I gave him the money to go buy something in town that I needed. It was a type of lantern, type of light. And I sent him to town to buy it, and he came back with it and gave me the receipt and gave me the money that was remaining. Well, later, a few days later, I tried that object that he bought in town, and I found out that it wasn't working well. So I said, let's go to town. We've got to go to town. And I took that item back, took him with me, and said, show me the store where you bought this item. And I went in there and I explained to the store owner that this doesn't work. It's not working the way it should. I've tried and tried. I'd like to return it and get my money back. And the store owner looked at the worker and he said, tell them what you've done. And what he had done was he told the store owner to make the price of that item higher than what it actually was being sold for. So I got the money back and that situation was ended. But this person who was doing good work and who I had plans to do good things for them and help them, that was their last day at work. They were fired. They were fired on the spot. They were dishonest. So don't fall into that trap. It's very easy to change receipts. You can make a 1 into a 7. You can ask the store owner to make the receipt higher. There's many, many ways you can change receipts. But I want you to think about this. We're a Christian organization, and you probably have been hired with an understanding that you're going to operate under Christian principles. Are you willing to damage your reputation? Are you willing to leave even your church? Because I am one who will take this to your pastor. I am one who will take this to spiritual authority over you and tell them what you've done. Not because I mean bad for you, but because I love you and because I want you to grow from this experience and learn from your mistakes. So to summarize, we want to show professionalism in all we do. That means good communication. You follow what is done in the proposal, and if not, you communicate immediately to those above you. We respect time, and the timing of submitting things is important. Accountability. There will be people that are checking into what you've done and how money is spent. That's professionalism. We talked about getting 3 quotations, and the last point was being honest. Remember our Bible verse that we started this lesson. The Bible says that everything we do is being recorded and will be made known. This is the end of our lesson about the introduction to writing proposals. The next video you should watch will be writing a narrative proposal. Writing a narrative proposal. This is the end of the video lesson.